Hello everybody, welcome back to some more Feed the Beast Infinity Evolved Skyblock. And as you may be able to see, a few things have changed around here, and that is really down to one thing. That is the fact that we are now on a server. If I, for example, go here, I can quickly on my other computer say hi to myself via the actual server. So this has been actually able to run in the background now, which has allowed me to get a lot more resources from this thing back here, which has then allowed me to finally upgrade this to an advanced solar panel and get a spare resonant solar panel as well. So today what I want to do is, as I said, we have more solar panels, but our bottleneck is this thing, Electrotine. We have 371 of it. We need about 1,500 per resonant solar panel, and obviously we need 8 of those to make one of those, etc, etc. So that is our bottleneck. Everything else, we have quite a lot of sand. We, using the sag mill, getting a lot of sand. For the glass, we've got a ton of iron, which we're getting from this stuff. All the ores are, we have a ton of. This is where we are lacking. The reason for that is because we are basically putting 9 gravel in here to get an output of what 5 gravel is worth. The real reason we did that is because of speed. These are just generally faster. They're doing it 9 times faster in general, because 9 times the items are going through at one time. However, we've kind of reached a point where that is not really, good for us. We need to get more Electrotine, which will get us more of those, which means we can power this better, and we can power that better, and get more solar panels just generally. So we're basically going to cut out the compression part, so cut out that part, and just be hammering and sieving as normal, alongside 64 fortune upgrades and 64 speed upgrades, which is going to make everything faster and everything, output-wise better. So we're also going to move and change to have igneous extruders instead of those, just because they are kind of cleaner and also less messy wires. And also we're going to have pulverizers, and I have obviously the augments here ready for those to work with. So for the gravel one, in order to make gravel, we're going to take an igneous extruder, which does not require any power whatsoever, and 1 pulverizer. The reason for that is obviously we're taking the cobblestone and turning it straight into gravel. Gravel is then going to go through a sieve. So I'm going to need the igneous extruder to be here, because we're going to have cables flow that way. So igneous extruder, that is going to be given. This one actually can get its upgrades, to be fair, because we just want to create... Oh, that was, I thought, an issue, but actually no, I did everything correctly. So that's going to create 64 cobblestone per operation, and it will never use that lava or water up, which is good, and obviously that is a lot cleaner than that method. So pulverizer is just going to go straight there. We're going to input from the left side, output from the right on the red, and yellow is going to go down here. We will then get gravel from this, which is good, and that'll be outputted into this automatic sieve. And then we're going to need, also I realized, some filters in a bit, because we need some filters to make sure that everything goes perfect. What's going to end up happening here is we're going to have 2 outputs. We're going to have an output here, and that is going to go to a auto compressor here. In total, there are going to be 9 different broken ore types. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In fact, we have all of them right here, and those are going to be our first targets. In fact, we actually need 2 of those, because we are going to be inverting one of them, and that should do that. We're going to invert one of these, so that means that only the broken ores will be going into here, and then anything that isn't a broken ore will be going into that point. From here, these are going to be crafted into the ore gravels, which means we want to hammer those down, which is going to be our next thing. Auto hammer, then we're going to have another auto compressor just here. So those are now going to go into here, which admittedly aren't going to be powered. Those are going to turn into another thing, which we're going to have to hammer down. Then it should just go compressor again. So this made gravel. The other one, or the next one rather, is going to be making sand. Great. So we're going to place that one there, igneous extruder doing its job. They're going to output to the side, which is going to allow us to get a pulverizer. We actually need 2 pulverizers here, because one is going to input from the left and output to the right, and this one's going to output to the input to the left and output to the right again, with the other outputs going to the very bottom. This is going to turn gravel into the sand, which we then need to go into the sieve, automatic sieve. Okay, so it's been quite a while since the last cut, and in that time I have learned something that has changed sort of my whole perspective on extra utilities and has made everything a lot easier, just generally, with this entire thing. And really that is, I realized with this one that I would technically need 4 outputs for this to work with the same thing, because you can't put 2 filters. You can't put a filter here and a filter there because they kind of cancel out, or at least I think that's how it works. That's why I have to have this one. If I put that one there, that completely cancels the whole thing out, and it doesn't, you know, it won't pull anything because it's like, I don't know what to do. Or at least I think that's how it works. Maybe one takes priority and it only does like the lower one. I don't know. Something, it just doesn't work. I think it just cancels out and it just doesn't work because it's just too confused. So what I found out you can do is basically nest filters within filters, which is actually amazing. So if we take this one and then this one from here, and this makes this so much easier. So this has got broken lead, and this one, the last one, has got broken aluminium. If we can get aluminium out of there, cut that one out of there and put it in there, we can then throw this filter into here, and now this, you know, this one becomes completely exempt. Like, we can just get rid of it. No need for it. You know, we got a free filter. Just cut the filter out. There we go. There we go. And really, you could probably have infinite filters due to that, because, you know, you're not actually using the filter up. So this one now filters every single one of those items. Basically, we've now nested it in, which makes this a lot more streamlined and makes a lot of my older projects, which were pretty messy, a lot better. That actually kind of fixes most of my messy wiring, like, ever. So that's pretty damn cool. So for this one then, we're going to have to do the same thing. So we're going to have to get all the crushed stuff. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because obviously 9 is the limit for the filters, and obviously that's not good. So we're going to throw those 2 in there, for example, and then everything bar that, and then that one in there. And that should now, we can reuse this one. Let's cut everything out of that. And this transfer node should now only pull out those items, which is good. So those should all now be going into there, and that is a lot, you know, that's like, yeah, 2 steps quicker than the other one, which is kind of good. And I'm glad that I don't have to, like, completely rework this entire thing thanks to filters being in a weird way. But those should all now go into this chest and all stack up into those. We can't really tell too much because obviously they will just go into the what's previously there, but that doesn't matter too much. Come to think of it, actually, there are a few things I have realized I've missed. I know I have a few more transfer nodes, but that obviously was based on the whole having extra transfer nodes on here, but there are still some that I have not sorted out correctly, and that is because of the secondary outputs of these machines. So this is taking sand, so what we need to do is take all 3 of these that are producing sand as a byproduct, and speaking of byproducts, we need to actually make sure these byproducts are actually coming out of here. We need to make sure that all these ones producing sand as a byproduct go into this sieve, everything then making dust as a byproduct then go into this sieve, and we don't have to worry about that sieve at all, because obviously, you know, any gravel that this makes is going straight to dust, and any gravel this makes is going straight to sand. So we are going to have to turn on hover mode for this, because I don't particularly want to die, and then we are going to have to, you know, have a little bit of fun down here cutting out the floor, because this is going to be a little fun adventure. What's basically going to happen is there are going to be just a oak drawer there, full with stack upgrades, so it has 2080 stacks placeable in it, and basically we're going to take any sand, which are going to be from these 2, and place them in there. So those are going to go there, and I think the way I wanted to do this, because obviously I want a floral, is to just simply do that for the moment, making sure that we quite obviously make, you know, sure that we don't connect these cables in, which we will do with the covers obviously. And then we want to just take from here and take cables from there. That's all we're going to be doing. And I think I should be able to put a cable there. There we go. And then all these ones, which again we're going to have to cover up that cable and I think that cable as well. Possibly that cable. Yeah, probably. So those are going to have to go in there, and these are going to be basically taking the dust from these things and placing them into a place for, actually doesn't have an output, that'll be why, and we're going to be placing them into an oak drawer that is going to be placed there, again with stack upgrades all the way in them, and then we're going to do that right there. Okay, so the way we're going to be sorting out the power is a pretty interesting one, something I've been meaning to do for a fairly long time, and yay, the sun's going down, and I have finally replaced those. Actually, speaking of which, we do need to put the output back out to its correct amount, because otherwise we're going to be wondering why our machines aren't working in a little while. So, the way we're going to basically be getting power from here to here, and without really worrying about the buffer of these having 1024 and the high voltage ones having a 4096, even though that is really all we're creating power-wise, the way we're going to get past that is by creating a Tesseract, or in fact 2 Tesseracts, because obviously we need to be transferring the power to another place, and for that we need another Tesseract to be receiving as well as transmitting. So in here should be enough to make 2 Tesseracts, and really the main bulk of the Tesseract, or really the reason why it's slightly difficult, would be within the machine frame, or not the machine frame, the Tesseract frame, which is basically we need, obviously times these things by 2, but we need Enderium, or 4 Enderium, 2 octactic capacitors, 2 ender electron tubes, and 2 teleport, well, 1 teleport but times 2 teleporters, of which we have already made 3 for the replicator, so those aren't as difficult as it seems. So I went ahead and already did the Enderium just because Enderium is boring. So what I'm going to do is, again, I have constructed these down, or deconstructed these down to their raw materials, and I'm going to do them one by one. So we're going to start with the 4 octactic capacitors. So what I'm going to do quickly is take every item that I need out of this chest, and then we'll get on to doing what we need in terms of making that part. Alright, so I have everything together for the octactic capacitor. I also have it up in NEI, so everything should go along swimmingly. So what we're going to start with is generic this part. I think that should be enough. In order to do this, we just need the 20 lapis electron tubes, so that's fine. And then we're going to need some other things, which is basically we're going to put some sandstone in here, and then we're going to create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put 5 of those in there. This is going to create 5 end stone, which we're then going to use alongside these eyes of ender that we made in order to make some end electron tubes. We're just going to have to make energetic alloys now, and then we're going to basically have 16 of those for the double layer capacitors, and then we're going to use this 8 ender pearls alongside 8 of these. So when we get to 8 of those, we'll take 8 out, throw them with the ender pearls in the induction smelter, and then we're going to be making. That'll make the vibrant alloy for us. Oh, we also need to make the blaze things, don't we? We're then going to have, obviously, these doing that. Those will make the basic capacitors. So then we just do that. Put those in there, and then we have 4 octactic capacitors, or octactic capacitors. We now have the 4 octactic capacitors that we need for the Tesseract. So now we need to get onto the teleporter, which is everything else in here, and we should really be able to make these, except because of the frequency emitters, obviously we can't shift click them in or whatever, or however you're supposed to say that. So remaining items are there. I don't think they won't have too much of an issue with the teleporters not being able to work properly, and then we need to go fill them up, which means we need 8 yeah, 8 of these things. So glad we have a ton spare, and I really need to clear that place out slightly. So whilst this is going, we will then also have a quick look at what we need in order to obviously make this go through. So we need 8 bronze and 8 silver. That is pretty simple. I'm glad there was no change, because I remember I didn't actually pay attention to that. I mainly paid attention to the fact of, oh my god, there's a teleporter and we need to use it to create this thing. So 2 Tesseracts are now available. I'm going to place 1 directly beneath this, which is going to have a full 32,000 RF being able to be transmitted through it as soon as we check it. And I really hope that they haven't made it so you can't, like, you know, add anything like or use these at all. I'm guessing they haven't, but we'll send on frequency 1. We are set to frequency 1, and then on this side we're going to receive on frequency 1. So that should be powered. This should be getting power. Oh, it's not getting power for some reason. Wrong thing. I think this one should be fine. It shouldn't connect to anything if I'm lucky, and I think that's probably why I was not losing power. It's one time that I want to be losing power because it means I know what's going on. And then I'm going to ever so quickly find a lever. Make sure that this is powered. Oh, I need to be that, because that should now shut it off, meaning that it should go in power, and everything should be fine. So this is all disconnected, whatever, it doesn't matter at this point, and we should be getting stuff coming through. Yeah, hopefully this works out fine, and I might set up some power. Like, I have some steam dynamos. I might just set up, like, I know, a chunk of steam dynamos for all I care at the moment. But what I think I'd probably do is make a tree farm first for that, which is probably what we're going to do in the next episode. Make a tree farm and then make a chunk of steam dynamos and see if we can get that all going. We can probably use Ender IO stuff for that, because we can get item and item ducts and item and fluids in the same block, which is probably the easiest way to do it. So that's going to be it for this episode, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next episode, where possibly we might have a ton more solar panels if this, you know, whole thing works out well and we get a ton of electrotime, which so far we have 30, which isn't amazing, but isn't too bad either considering how long it was on. So yeah, thanks for watching, and bye-bye.